last week we had the how much did I make notes. So we can go back and look at those just really quickly so that we can reference that. That would be underneath week 2, mainly on Monday. Let's just look at first periods or even fourth. Fourth might even be better. So anyway, we went over wages, salary, piece wages, hourly wages. We had salary where we had a division by 12 months, bi-monthly, and then per week. And we did some calculations for somebody earning an hourly rate, 40 hours per week, projected overtime, and 16 hours of holiday pay. And then we also had somebody that had salary plus sales. And then on the back side of where's the money, we had gross pay. Net pay is after deductions are made and what kind of deductions there are, voluntary and involuntary. And the involuntary ones are, of course, income taxes. You could have federal, state, and local or municipality taxes. We have Social Security and Medicare. Those are also known as payroll taxes. The voluntary ones are insurance and retirement. And then we have federal income tax for a single person. So we mark that this is a single person. Then we have to calculate the annual wages of $3,000 $3,000 a month times 12 gives us $36,000, and that falls here. So his projected federal income tax is going to be approximately 25% of what he earns. So 25% of $3,000 is $750. Social Security. Social Security is 6.2% of gross income. Medicare is 1.45% of gross income. If your value is less than 10, you add a 0 in front of it and then add the decimal place. All right, this is a flat rate. Employee part of insurance, there is no multiplying by percent. It's just flat $75. And then retirement fund, 5% of gross income was $150. We added them all up and then they did not ask them to calculate the net pay or the gross pay. They just asked us to calculate the deductions. Okay, so that brings us to what we are working on today. So we had the holiday, Martin Luther King holiday yesterday, so we were not here yesterday. Let me go ahead and get this over here, and it is larger. So it shows that we know what we're supposed to be doing. The students have a folder that they should have that has that information available to them so they can just go along here. But we are also going to, I'm also going to model these. So we have Timmy. If you'll notice that the even numbers will model the odd numbers. I'm going to demonstrate the odd numbers, and the students will be responsible for the even numbered problems. Okay, so we got Timmy. He worked 25 hours last week and makes $12.75 per hour. What was Timmy's gross pay? So the payment is going to be 25 hours times $12.75 per hour equals. Now I'm just going to go over here to my decimal calculator, if I can get it to bring up nicely. That is not what I want. I don't want to close those. Where are we at here? I want decimals. There's decimals. I want my OneNote. There we go. So I have both. Let's see if I can get these to stack on top of each other. That would be nice. Sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. Evidently not. Not today. So we have 25 times $12.75, and we're going to have $318.75. Let me see if I can get that too. So I'm going to dock both of these. Nope. Oh, wait a minute. Let me think. I had these 3 lines. Then I can hold on to this one. And I can have decimals. There we go. Now I have both of them open. Cool. And I can just resize this. There we go. That's better. I just need the calculator part today. All right. So we have Dylan. Dylan worked 22 hours at makes $9.50 per hour. So again, it's just going to mimic it. All right. We have Christian. Christian worked 55 hours last week and make $8.50 per hour. He gets paid time and a half for all hours over 50. What was Christian's gross pay? So first of all, we're going to pay time and a half. That's 1 1/2, and that's going to be plus 0.5. So half an hour, so 1 1/2 times his pay. And we're going to take the hours that he worked, 55, and we're going to break it down into regular and overtime. So 40 hours is going to be regular pay, and that leaves 15 hours at overtime. And we're just going to abbreviate that as OT. So you're going to see it on your paychecks mostly. All right, so he's got 40 hours times $8.50 an hour, and 15 hours times the $8.50 times the overtime bonus of 1 1/2. So we're going to calculate both of those and add them together to get the gross pay. So first of all, let's go ahead and bring this in. 40 times $8.50, $340. So that's going to give us $340 for his regular pay. And then for his overtime pay, 15 times $8.50 times 1.5. So for his overtime, he has $191.25. So gross pay is going to be, when I add those two together, 340 plus $191.25 for a total of $531.25. Okay, and now if they would ask a question of how much does he get paid per hour for the overtime, we would say that it'd be $8.50 times 1.5. So he's went from $8.50 an hour to $12.75 per hour for those 15 hours. That's why your employers don't like paying it. So number 4 is for the students to do. All right, number 5. Chris makes a monthly salary of $1,500 plus a 5% commission on all of his sales. He sold $5,000 in merchandise last month. What was his gross pay? So we're going to say base salary $1,500 and no cents, plus commission. Commission calculations is 5%, so we're going to do 0.05 times $5,000 in sales is going to be equal to 1,500 for his base salary, plus, let's find out what 5%, 0.05 times 5,000, $250. Okay, $250 in commission. Now, you could also do that in your head, because 10% of 5,000 would be $500, and half of 10% would be 5%, so 200 would be $250. Yes, that works. So $250. Add those together. So we have 1,500 plus 250 is $1,750. Okay. So there we go. Another salary plus commission. All right. Lisa's gross pay for a year is $75,650. What is her monthly gross pay? There are 12 months in 1 year. So we're going to take this $75,650 and we are going to divide it by 12. Equals. So 75,650 divided by 12 is going to be $6,304. Now, money has only 2 decimal places, so I see 1, and the next one is 6, but there's a 6 following that, so we would round it up to 17 cents. So $6,304.17. Part B of this one is what is our weekly gross pay. There are 52 weeks in 1 year. So again, we do 75,650 divided by 52 weeks in 1 year equals 75,650 divided by 52 is $1,454.81. We would round up because that number after the 0 is a 7. We always look to the third digit to see if we round up the penny or not. Okay, so, alright, let's go to the second page. So again, the get Laura's pay, monthly gross pay, weekly gross pay, just like what we did. Alright, Jeremiah's monthly gross pay is $8,600. We're going to calculate the amount of income tax deducted, and they're telling us it's going to be 25%. So we just come over here and we calculate $8,600 times 0.25. And we can go ahead and come over here and type in 8,600 times 0.25. $2,150 is going to be how much they're going to deduct for federal income taxes. Okay, Social Security. Again, we're going to move this decimal place over twice. Once, twice. So it's going to be 0.062. So 8,600 times, and it should put a 0 in front of that, 0.062. So we're going to take 8,600 times 0.062, and $533.20. For Social Security, Medicare, we'll move that decimal place over 2 spaces, so it's going to be 0.0145. And accountants, they like that leading 0 before the decimal, so it gets picked up. Okay, 0.0145. So 8,600 times 0.0145. It's going to make it $124.70. And then finally they have retirement at 3%. So we're going to take that decimal and we're going to move it over 2 spaces. So it's going to be 0.03. So remember, we can take that decimal and move it 1, 2. Should land right there. So 8,600 times 0.03. Okay, 8,600 times 0.03, $258. Now, I'm going to show you something that you could have done instead of having to do all of these calculations by hand. If we say that we want to multiply every one of these things by, we noticed that all of these are $8,600 times something that is changing. And so that could be 8,600 times 0.25, 8,600 times 0.62. And you're like, oh, Miss Dirty, we already did that. We already know that. Or are you going over this again? Okay, so what we can do is we can create an equation that is going to say, let's see if I can do this with 8,000x. Now, you notice it gives me a nice little vertical line there. I'm going to come up here to my settings, and you notice that this gives me a table. I'm going to go create a table. Now, I know that that's going to take 8,600 multiplied by whatever we are changing it by. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and delete all these out. And it's going to tell me that it's undefined. That's fine. We're going to just eliminate all of these because now I want to go in and I want to put in 0.25. I want to put in 0.062. I want to put in 0.0145. I want to put in 0.03. There we go. So, anyway, I'm not sure what's going on with my phone. It's being weird. So we're just going on. Anyway, let's come over here. So we want to see 2,150. Yep. 533.2. Yes. 124.70. Yes. And 258. Yes. So just depends on what your preference is. Do you want to just create an equation, go to the table, run through the tables, or do you want to put them in one at a time. Okay, number 10 matches that exactly. All right, and then finally, we have John's monthly gross pay is $2,500. The following amounts are deducted each month from his paycheck. Income tax of $435, Social Security $115.40, Medicare $34.65, retirement $250, and health insurance $325. We're going to calculate his net pay. So we're going to put down here as gross. It's $2,500. And we're going to put down less deductions. Subtract. And you know what? If I don't like where I have something, I can actually lasso this and move it out of the way. Which is what I'm trying to do here. Come on, just move over here. Get it so it looks a little more like accounting. And we're going to go back to our draw. Okay. Come on, I'm done. So we're going to calculate our deductions. And then that's going to give us our net pay. And that should have a dollar sign there. Now, accounting, we would not put a dollar sign here because it's formalized accounting. You have one for the first entry and then for the last entry. All right, so over here we're just going to take all of our deductions. So we would have the deductions, and on your paycheck they would have those all listed out. So I know they don't give me a whole lot of space here, but we have $435 for income taxes, plus Social Security of $115.40. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check them off as I go. And then $34.65. And then retirement of $250. And then finally health insurance of $325. Okay, so we're just going to add all those up. Right there. 435 plus 115.40 plus $34.65 plus $250 plus $325 for retirement. So they are going to deduct $1,160.05. So I'm just going to put over here total deductions. It's $1,160.05. Okay, now we are going to take and subtract that from 2,500. Subtract 60.05. So their net pay is $1,339.95. Okay, so that finishes what the students are going to be responsible for the even ones. All right.